Welcome to Pherotone Studios. I'm going to show you how to lower a tune-o-matic bridge. It's one of these things like you get on a Les Paul or a Gibson Explorer in case it's too high. Occasionally you'll get a guitar where the bridge is as low as possible and the action's still too high, or more likely you've made a guitar and the bridge is too high and you're thinking, well, how do I make this lower? Because there's not much else you can do, especially with a set neck guitar. It's not like you can make the neck high or low, you can't pack it out. There's two ways of doing it. You can either set the bridge pins in the guitar body more, so take them out, get the same diameter drill bit and drill them into the guitar body a bit. With that option, I mean, it's doable. It does tend to chip the paint out, can look terrible, and in general, tune-o-matic bridges are fitted to set neck bodies, so if you chip the bridge, I mean, you can't buy a new guitar body, you have to buy a new guitar if it looks awful. So I'd avoid that if possible. The option I'd go for, which is definitely the better option, is to file down the underside of the tune-o-matic bridge. And the reason you can do that is if you go wrong, buy a new bridge, they're about a tenner. Or buy one for a tenner, practice on that and then do it on your actual one from your Gibson. This is a Harley Benson, so it's only a £300 guitar, so I wasn't too fussed about doing a bad job. Not that I'm saying you shouldn't do a good job on every guitar, but I was a bit like, you know, whatever. Sorry, my light's just gone out. Before we go into this, I'd just like to say, if you're taking more than a couple of millimetres off of this, so if it really needs lowering a lot, it may cause problems with the structural integrity of the bridge. I think 2 or 3 millimetres is fine, and to do that what I'd do is use a metal ruler, and I'd use a Stanley knife to score it, so you do a mark. 'Cause if you use a pencil, it's just going to wipe off. I actually used a Telecaster control cavity plate because it's about 2 millimetres thick, and I lined it up with the underside of the bridge and then scored it with a Stanley knife. And I did that on all of the sides, so front, back, both sides of it, just so I had an accurate gauge of how to do it. And then what I did, which you don't have to do, I use an angle grinder. So I wound that into a bench vise, so I didn't have to hold the grinder, and I hold the bridge. And I held that against the spinning disc just to do the bulk of the work. If you don't have an angle grinder or you're not comfortable with doing that, definitely wear goggles. You can do it all with files. So after I'd finished doing that, I neatened it up with files. So a couple of files, one was quite rough, one was quite fine. Went with the rough one first and then the fine one. But you could do this all with files. It will take you quite a long time and it's probably not that fun, but it is doable. I did the bulk with an angle grinder. One thing you've got to be careful of is sometimes there's a little spring mechanism within the inside of the bridge. Not every kind. This one's got the spring sort of on this edge, but just be careful you're not going to cut through or wear through anything important, but it should be common sense. You should be able to look at the back of the bridge and just have a look. Once it's done, once it's all neat and you've removed all sharp edges, just put it back on. I'm not going to show you any video of that because it should be pretty obvious how to put a bridge back on a guitar considering you took it off 2 minutes ago. I mean, if you are concerned, take a picture of how it looks now and put it back the same. And then you just need to adjust the bridge pins so the height's right and the action should be perfect. Just check it doesn't buzz anywhere because you don't want it too low, but it just means you've got a nicely set up guitar. And it took about half an hour. In fact, the bit that took longest was after I finished angle grinding, I went and did other things for about 15-20 minutes just to let the bridge cool down because it was so hot from doing it. So you may need gloves. I wouldn't do it barehanded if you're going to use an angle grinder. You will probably burn yourself because these get hot. Hopefully that was helpful, and I would recommend the filing the bridge option down rather than sinking the bridge pins in, just because you're less likely to damage the guitar and you can always buy a new bridge. And this was a tip I got from Crimson Guitar. So Ben Crow, he's made a few, he's the guy that runs Crimson Guitars, he's made quite a few guitars where I've made guitars, you make mistakes, and quite often he's put the neck angle, I'm not going to say incorrectly, but to the point where the bridge needs to be lowered, and that's his workaround. So I did actually steal this idea from Crimson Guitars, but it is the best workaround. So thanks Crimson Guitars. Have a nice day.